take over. Hey, Steve, what's going on, bud?
Hey, thanks, Scott. What's up, Andy?
Hey, Steve, how are you? Hi, Scott. Hi, everybody.
Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Trade of the Week. Got my little handy dandy pointer. Got my slideshow all set. So as the wise ones know to tune in 5 minutes later, because you know this is coming. As those continue to file in, just a reminder for housekeeping's sake, we are not investment advisors. We're not brokers, so we're just independent traders. We have a couple of opinions. We're also employees of Trade Ideas, which is a software as a subscription model. So anything you see here today is not to be considered as a solicitation for investment or investment advice. Not bad off the top of my head. I sound like a lawyer. You're not alone with Trade Ideas. Just a constant reminder, Andy and I have been using this for 17 years. And we've seen a lot. And we also understand it's not something you can absorb in 5 days. So it takes a week or two. We try to help you guys as much as we can with these webinars, but more importantly, the daily support session at 12 Eastern is a good one. If you're not able to attend that all day long, you've got Barry's live trading room. Very easy to get to. It's on our website. Just look at the top of the menu, or you can just tune into the live stream, which is the same stream as the daily support session at 12 Eastern. I do it on Tuesdays. Andy does it on Fridays. We all kind of mix it up. You get a different flavor each week, or each day, I'm sorry, each day of the week at noon. So that's a great place to, again, try and shorten your learning curve. It just doesn't work to say, hey, can you have somebody call me? I've got a question on how to set up this scan. That's the most inefficient use of anybody's time. So we have these live visuals and demo question and answer. You can come in. We can obviously always share our cloud links, which makes it very easy. So much better forum to get people up to speed. All right, so here's the reminder. You can go to trade-ideas.com and bookmark that /live down there at the bottom, and that will redirect you to the YouTube live stream at any time. And once YouTube has recognized that you have watched this at the noon hour, pretty much anytime you log into YouTube, the algorithm will serve this up and say, hey, do you want to do it again? They're live again. So it's pretty easy to find once you've been there once. All right, which brings us to some of the content today. And as usual, the theme is humans and machines combined. It's just the world we're going to live in, whether it's finance or health or energy, whatnot, exploration. The technology is just amazing these days, and it does nothing more than helps curate a nice, sweet list of ideas or data sets for us, the human being, to take it from there. And it's a perfect example of our AI. We might even see some examples today when Andy talks about how the AI is not very good at exiting, meaning it's not a great trade management system. It's more of a better trade picker and an entry picker. And we've seen the data shows that traders who take the trade from there and manage it on their own seem to do much better going forward. So again, a great example of human and machine combined. Human's not going to be able to do it without a machine, and the machine just can't quite do it on its own, and you can't go play golf and expect it to do it for you. So it's for those of you over 50, it's the peanut butter and the chocolate bumping into each other on the corner. All right, maybe only 5 people got that out of the group, Andy, but we'll see. I know you did. Agenda for today. What's that? Two great tastes.
Yes,
in
yes.
one.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Great taste. So we'll go over the market recap. Geez, I thought I was going to be talking about, Todd gets it. I thought I was going to be talking about one thing at the close today, and then the Twitter sphere and DC threw us kind of a curveball, but we'll take a look how it all sorts out. Only a few trades today, but decent ones. I think Andy might have a few items to talk about there. Trade of the week, for the most part, again, working well, and we keep going to the same scan because that's what you want to do when things work well. So we'll obviously share the scan and talk about that, check in on some of the other ones. I'm creating a new scan to try and not so much create a great method for, hey, this is going to be a really killer scan for you to follow. It could be if you want to refine it, but it's going to demonstrate who runs the market, who runs Bartertown, to bring another 80s reference into it. The algorithms and the market making quants, they run price action. We're just kind of along for the ride. So I want to demonstrate something, how the market works, and use a scan to actually show you that, how I found that. Andy and I are going to kind of just revisit a great theme, a great method of trading that we call swing scalping. It's not scalping in the day, but it's not super long swing trading, waiting for 3-month moves. It's in between. It's kind of surfing the market and getting your move, and a couple of great examples today. And I think we'll go over some of my newer positions because I did get repositioned and maybe a few chart requests. But speaking of getting repositioned, if we look at the SPY, last time we spoke, it was kind of hit or miss, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were still under the 20-day moving average, and I think I had been mentioning I was going to be looking for some closing prices back above the 50-day moving average there to maybe start reloading. And if that didn't happen, the market rolls over, then I was just going to kind of step aside, at least for looking for longs anyway. But since we met last, we've got 5 more days of data, and let me just zoom in a little bit here. There we go. So this is what we look like coming into today anyway. Beautiful high close on highs above the 50-day moving average in the SPY, and over in the NASDAQ Qs, also a nice close on highs, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll call it 5 closes above the 50-day moving average. So the coast was kind of looking clearer for me. So I don't know what I mentioned last week, but I did clear the decks on a lot of things as things were getting dicey. And had a lot of silver as well, and silver mining stock, and that took a pretty good bloodbath back here, as you could see. So repositioning and some other things, but for the most part, what I want to talk about is the S&P spiders. Coming into today, we're looking pretty darn good, and even into the midday looking good. And then we had this horrible, awful, Washington is not working with each other, and they're both going to take their ball and go home and see what happens, to quote a oft-used term, see what happens. And the market doesn't like it when people say, well, we'll see what happens, because that's uncertainty, and the market hates uncertainty. But on the flip side, I'm not getting out of any of this stuff. I don't like it, but let's see, was there any technical damage done? All right, we've got the after hours here, so let's just draw that line. S&P is now back. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. S&P is now back to the 20-day moving average. I anticipate we're going to find some after hours support here, I would think. We'll see, I would hope. But if that's the worst of it, it's not too bad. We're just kind of dropping back into the chop there, and let's see what the rest of the week resolves. It's still early in the week. NASDAQ, how much damage was done over there, if any? Looks like about the same picture. Look at that, resting right there, just below today's lows on that red line in the aftermarket with that green tag. So not a lot of damage. If we had closed, let me just give you for instance, if we had just, the market had just gotten really upset and did something like that right there, and we were looking at a close down here where one day we're in a clean air up here and the next day we're back below everything, that might be a different story. So that's not the case. Could be the case tomorrow. I hope not, because again, I've reloaded a few things and we'll talk about that later in the webinar. But we'll see what happens. To borrow that word again, we're in kind of a holding pattern here. We'll still see what happens. No real major damage done. I will say that the IWM is all of a sudden getting some ideas, and we'll look at a few plays. There's been a lot of small cap alt energy and small cap viral and small cap PPE and other stuff that's been really running lately. And I think with the most part, these small cap energy names have made up a bit of the Russell 2000. So we had a nice spark here in the IWM. The small caps really tried to say, hey, we're ready to take the ball and run, but they too also got grabbed and like a pit bull and shaken into the close. And in the purple section here, you can see some continued aftermarket weakness. Same with the NASDAQ and same with the SPYs. So not exactly what we wanted to see, but my point is, to drive it all home, I don't think this is really going to be a game killer, a deal killer, a game changer. I don't think it's going to stop this juggernaut market. This market has had so much thrown at it. We've got zero interest rates. There's really no other place to put your money. 401ks continue to have to put their money somewhere long, can't short. I mean, let's hate to use the word rigged, but the market is rigged to go up. And, barring any unbelievable black swan event that none of us could have even seen coming, in other words, we could have seen this coming. Okay, the market's excited about, maybe a stimulus package might happen. And Nunchin's talking to Nancy. Oh, nope, they're not talking. Well, we gave back a little bit. No major dent. Let's see what happens. Anything you want to add, Andy, on this rambling diatribe?
No, Steve, you're covering it really well. I mean, I think you said it. I mean, ugly candle for sure, but everything's still intact. It just, I mean, it's below its 50, which is, let's
Yeah.
face it, it's only been above it for last one, a couple of
Mhm.
days. So, yeah, we're in the middle, and like we've been saying, there's a good chance we can stay in this sloppy range, until the election. So you have to at least prepare for that. I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but you have to prepare for it being a lot of slop until the election, but we'll see.
Yeah, a wise trader told me recently I might just wait till after the election, just get
Yeah.
rid of the volatility, but I don't know. I don't know how that worked out. All right. So let's move on, which would
All
be
right.
a few AI trades if you want to take it.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Let me take it real quick. And Steve, I'm excited because this is the first day in a long time. For some reason, Tuesdays have been not Holly's favorite day, and but today it's not bad. I mean, a limited number of trades. This is what I want to see when you have, price action like this. Kind of going slopping around sideways, looked like it was gonna, creep up and potentially break out of this. Looks like I'm doing a market recap again, and then it just gets slapped down. Well, that makes it hard on Holly. Obviously, she had 3 longs to 1 short. You got to ask yourself, might the longs have not performed a whole lot better had it not been for this price action toward the ends of the day? And my thinking is probably so. So but let's just kind of go through each trade since it's only 4 of them, and I do have the other ones up. It's not just Neo; it's all of them up, and there was only 4 trades, which I have no problem with that. I know a lot of people would like to see more, but to me, quality over quantity when it comes to trading for sure. Uh, all right, so the first one right here that came out this morning, I'm on Central Time, so this came out at 9:02, so basically 30 minutes after the market opened, would be LTBR. And boy, it's a nice little alpha to begin the day for about, let's say, almost an hour. Or I would say, these are 15-minute bars. So for like an hour, it just stepped higher and higher. Doesn't look like much because you're only talking a matter of cents versus dollars, how much it moved. But let's look at it from a percentage perspective. Okay, this entry was 426. Got as high as look around 490. That's a great percentage move. And Holly exited on a reason. Great exit. No, I'm take this back. This was a timed exit. So she got out on a timed exit. I thought it was a profit save, but it was a timed exit, as you guys can see right here. These are the exit reasons. Okay. And what does time exit means? It means every strategy is optimized not only on all the filters and that we have, but also it's optimized based on time. So it looks like this was an hour hold, got out for a timed exit and a timely exit, if I should say, because look what happened after that. Just things got kind of ugly. So conservative mode was definitely the call there. But let's take a look at what's happening over here on the daily. And to me, the volume was huge. Let me click this. You can see the relative volume today was just, look at the volume bar. So every reason to want to take this trade this morning right here as it broke out of yesterday's high on huge volume. So not only is it breaking out of yesterday's high, it was taking out about a 5-day high there. But if I'm watching this, no matter what kind of volume, this has my attention right here. These 2 topping wicks over the last 2 weeks, you can see it tried to rally on these days and got slammed down in both cases. And what happened today? Same thing. Right at this same level, you had, just basically same thing happened. Yeah, there you go. The sellers came in again and slammed it back down. So I would definitely, if I was in that trade, I would be tempted to maybe sit in a pullback with all the volume coming in. But my first, whether I'm day trading, swing trading, no matter what I'm doing, the first thing I'm looking at is the daily chart. Okay, and this is obviously in a nasty downtrend over the last couple of months. Okay, so I'm always focusing on the daily charts first. Tells the true picture of where a stock might be heading. I like to tell people the intraday chart can be great for entries, but watch your daily chart when you're looking for exits or where you might cut your losses or add to winners. All right, next trade, 50 minutes later, PLMR, okay? Looked like it had potential once again. This is from, this is I think it was from NEO, called a pullback short, which means the stock jammed down and it bounced and looked like it was going to roll over again. That was entry. Beautiful entry in my mind. It just nothing really happened with this. You can see it just basically, you know, went sideways all day long. Got in the money a little bit there. To steal Jamie's term, if you didn't take those cookies, you would have been, you know, forced to basically get out for a flat or maybe hold them to the end of the day. But just nothing really going on there. I'm not going to beat this one up right here. Just not a lot happening right there on that one. And then we had about, 15 minutes later, OPTT. And, you know, not bad. I can understand the entry. Once again, relative volume, huge relative volume. Look at, all you got to do is look at the bar on your chart. And had a nice run up, was going sideways. Holly using a pullback long strategy, took it right there. But just once again, very much like the last trade, just nothing happened, you know, just a lot of sideways action. It did, you know, finally get up here where you did have, you know, we're talking about 210 here, guys. So it did get up all the way to about 260. So that's a nice percentage gain there. Okay, even though it doesn't look like much happened on the chart, that wasn't a bad move there. All right, one more here, and this would have been looks like about an hour later, SSD, and this one was a nice trade there for about 30 minutes, and then it rolled over, and she did on this one get out for profit save. So in other words, had a nice little percentage gain. All right, and I don't have my conservative percentage up here, but you can see there from 90.91 it ran up all the way to let's see here, about 93.15, so about buck 25 there. So, but then like a lot of things today, it rolled back over. You had to get out once it broke through the buy signal right here. But that's it. Not a bad day, Steve. Not a bad day at all.
What?
I'll kick it back to you.
Oh, I thought you said, oh, sure.
No.
All right, kick it.
Kicking it. It's been kicked.
Great. All right, so yeah, let's talk about Swabi, SWBI. This one has come off of Andy's very well designed revenue growth fishing. I've been looking at this one a lot lately and been, you know, picking some things off here and there in swing account lately for either longer term, because these could be some longer term ideas, or if they have a really nice pop, maybe just a short day and a half ride, which we'll talk about. We had a lot of candidates going into this weekend, and you know, for whatever reason, this one caught my eye. One of the things I liked about it is, as well as I'll show you in a second, APT and Children's Place, which were past trade of the weeks, which have come from this. I think EMN also did too. I'll take a look at that. But we get kind of this inverse head and shoulders thing happening here. Bit goofy on this side, but I like that. And the concept is, and Andy figured out a way to kind of scan for some basing patterns that look like this. And most importantly, they're looking for ideas that have some revenue growth. So all the names on here, if I just come through here, RVPs had 20% quarterly revenue growth right up here on my single stock window. I'll highlight that. And as I go through some of these names, you can see 132%. This is not bad. And as you guys might notice, there's the workflow right there. Okay, beautiful looking chart, in my opinion, for this type of thing. If you're looking for it, kind of a nice inverted reverse head and shoulders. Now it looks like a bird in the hand. I've talked about that, you know, sideways, sideways, sideways with flattening moving averages. What I did on this one is that 50 period is so close to it. I don't want to know about the breakout of this, and I don't want to know it until it breaks out this high candle back here. So that gives me a little bit of a space above that 50, and I'll take that. If this pops up on my screen in real time, now it is a kind of a bio and diagnostic type stuff, but you know, the concept is here, the short sellers have kind of worn out their welcome, and there's not much left to hang your hat on with revenue growth. A lot of these are coming off of recent earnings is when this actually scan works the best. So once the short sellers realize maybe that's it, and they start looking at the fundamentals, those type of moves can happen. And we'll look at a few concepts there. That BMRA, I'm obviously watching that one. GUAR, they're not all perfect. Glue, you could make a case for that possibly, but again, 21% quarterly revenue growth, try to make a new low, a secondary, couldn't make that secondary new low, this Lemex or whatever this is, Lex Financial, I don't know who they are, LMNX. So there's some interesting ideas on here, and I'm happy to certainly just go ahead and share that with anybody that wants it, because this is what we've been using lately for the trade of the week. And I'll just type that in the chat window, revenue growth fishing. And there's some great ideas on there. And again, I wanted to show you kind of that workflow. If you see something that's setting up really nicely, sure, you can buy it now and you can become a positioned hoper, and it might work, it might not, or you can just let the right click in the chart window give you the option to create a price alert, and then it becomes an alert window.
Steve.
All right. Yeah.
I just want to mention to those who will be watching the recording later that that window is available in the Trader's Vault. Okay, so you don't have to send us an email requesting it. Steve's going to point it out for you there. Just go to that Trader's Vault and you'll find it in there as well. All right. Sorry.
Hang on 1 second. I'll just make sure. Everybody at home, that's the one you want right there.
Yep.
All right, it will be in there. Great scan has been giving us a lot lately. So let's talk about that. APT came from this scan originally, and it's a couple weeks old now. Look at that nice little kind of inverted head and shoulders, bird in the hand right there, and boom, it took off eventually. Now, this was a bit of a day late. I know the trade of the week was actually called back here, I think. And then it kind of gave a nice little run and then tried to back up, got me out, because I'll tell you why, the backdrop of the market was horrible. So I wasn't going to ask any questions back here in any of my positions. But for those who hung around, I said, hey, you might still be in a decent one there, and gave a few more days of nice movement. EMN, I haven't checked in on that one lately. Yeah, the EMN was a different scan. It wasn't from the revenue growth. It was from a pullback to the 50. And it really gave us a difficult entry. This one has just been kind of a goofy one, not really much to talk about there. But revenue growth fishing, either you get it in the chat window or there on the Traders Vault channel, it's available to you guys, and that is a good good resource. What about GBT? Did you see that on this scan, or somebody's just asking me? If you're asking me out of the blue, we'll do those at the end. But for now, just the ones on there. That doesn't look bad either. GBT looks a little tired, though. I can tell you that. It was on the last scan, George. Oh, I missed it. It looks a little tired here. Probably needs a bit of a consolidation move. So that's the wisdom behind the scan. That's the one for the week. Again, let's go back into, let's see, PLC, I'm not that one. If there's anything we can glean here, this is going to be a good segue. Look at yesterday's low there. I'm going to draw that. I think that's yesterday's low. Yeah. So here's a great segue. Look at this little nonsense on the open of today, taking out yesterday's low, and then again, taking out yesterday's low. So I've talked a lot about how, we have free commissions these days, and it's only because they're selling you out. They're going to make money on the back end. If you want to have a job and you want to go to work and feel comfortable that you've got your stop loss, good till canceled market order stop loss set at $9.90 in stock XYZ, and everybody else does too, because that's the obvious spot, you're probably going to get hit early in the morning. That's where the algos like to stop hunt. And they just have this crazy, stupid thing where they love to just, for no good reason, only because they can, go and tickle yesterday's lows. Well, I didn't like trying to name a scan tickle something, so I went with trending elbows. Andy gave me that idea today. He said, there's friggin' elbows out there on the opening. And that's what it is. But I put the word trending elbows in front of it because let's break open the scan here and look and see what we're going to scan for. So new lows is our event. Okay, position in previous day's range. This is really the key right here. So 0 in our maximum column equals yesterday's low. So if we're no more above yesterday's low, but no more than, what is that? Yeah, 5 percentile points, not percentage point, percentile points lower. That's our little window to show us when these new lows are happening in relation, and that's the key word, in relation to yesterday's range. These
Steve,
damn, yes.
I got
What?
to interrupt you here, man, because I'm just blown away, man. Well, they say about bright minds, whatever, thinking alike. You're not going to believe this. I built this same alert in my last Thursday.
Did you? Well, I didn't
Almost
even
to it.
attend your webinar.
Ask
You didn't
Mike
talk to me
C. He
about
can
it.
tell you. Well, no, I didn't know what you were going to do today. You just said I got a new.
No, you never know. No,
No, that's
really.
what I'm saying. You didn't. You don't know what I did on Thursday, and that's amazing. Yeah. But
And
anyway,
so, and then did I do so the stock composite rating is ensuring we have trending stocks?
well, no, but I did a new low in the previous position in previous days range almost exactly alike. I didn't go a -5%. I think I like a negative
Well,
point.
my thinking on this was, and again, it's in the title, trending elbows. I can sit here all day and watch stocks in a downtrend throw these elbows. I'm not interested in those. I'm interested in the ones where I'm talking about the market making algos that purchase our orders for order flow. Try and find out where all the 10 pins are lined up and bowl everybody out on a good stock. Well, what's a good stock? It's a stock that's trending. And more often than not, you and I see it all the time. So having this knowledge can do two things for you. One, it can possibly find setups for you if you want to be a good micro scalper. We're going to look at some examples here in a moment. Or two, it'll help you be a better trade manager in the early morning. That's the hardest part when managing these trades is the early morning. Any of you guys play craps, you know the hardest roll is the first roll. The come out roll, that's where you can beat that roll. Now the odds are in your favor. And that's the way I look at these first 15-minute candles, 30-minute candles sometimes in these trending stocks, because these algos will do everything they can to try and find the weak holders that don't want to ride the trend. Okay, so it's as simple as this. New lows. 0 is yesterday's low, so we're not going to see anything until it goes that or 5 percentile points below. We're only going to see it on stocks with a composite rating of 80, which means our B and our A plus students. And I don't want to see this mess in the middle of the day. I think today is a great example of why, because again, the thesis on this is that this is a early morning predator algo thing, and we're just trying to identify it. So we don't need to know anything after 120 minutes after the open. All right, so today, let's just look at some examples. And again, you're going to highlight your eye to the arrows. There's the arrow right there, taking out yesterday's low. I'll try and zoom out a little bit. Bounced right off that. Opening tick, yesterday's low. I think Zillow didn't do as well, but it doesn't matter. What I want you guys to focus on when I go through these names is this box right here. What happened after the arrow? What did the price do after that arrow, and how deep did it really have to go? What else we got? Zillow didn't do that great. That one wasn't exactly a great one. There you go, tickle the low and bounce right back up. That's a nasty one, a bit lower, but did have a nice bounce back up. Took out yesterday's low almost perfectly, bounced back up. And so not a good example there, but they're not all going to be good examples, as I mentioned. Okay, we're just trying to find some patterns here. And I think this scan is definitely giving us some patterns. A beautiful one. Took out yesterday's low in Bed Bath & Beyond. Look at this daily chart. On the open, again, we gave it all back at the close. We're not concerned with what happened in the general market. That doesn't really correspond to what we're talking about. We're talking about any old single day without any volatility in the afternoon. You're going to find strong stocks. They're going to try and push it down on the open. And so many times they're just going to take it right below yesterday's low. And it's just as simple as that. So the reason for doing this is a few things. One, show you that they do that. And this is the evidence of that. But two, show you how you can just simply come in and just ask the system to show me that kind of stuff. You know, the position in range is a very powerful filter. If we look at the options available in positions in range, you can do many things. Position in range is today. Position in a 60-minute range, well, those can be interesting, but I think the daily candles become very interesting. Position in previous day, that's the one that we just looked at. So where is it in relation to that? Then we can start talking about where is it in a 5-day range grouping? Is it at the high end of that range or the low end of that range? And these are some of the things that Andy uses in some of the swing trade setups to try and find things that are basing and acting well over the last few days. Yes, George, I will drop this scan. Thank you for reminding me because it's nowhere else but here. So let's put it back into real-time mode. But again, this isn't really something that I'm saying this is something you're going to make money off of. I was just using this to kind of drive home a point and make an example. But you guys can certainly take it, back test it, say what happens if I buy it and hold it for 30 minutes. That's not exactly my game, 30-minute trades. I'm more into a day and a half. which we're going to talk about here in a second. All right, so the trending elbows. And I'll drop that into the chat window for anybody that wants that. So what is our favorite time frame? Again, it's not a 30-minute trade. It is what we call a swing scalp. And Andy and I actually, we're not money managers. It was a quirky law in the FINRA policies, but we could have an account where people also had an account at the same brokerage called Ditto Trade, and they signed away a ton of disclaimers and put a ton of trust in us. And anytime we made a trade, they made the same trade, same allocations in their respective account. It was a really cool technology, but the way we outperformed the market in doing that in a comfortable, not too aggressive, not too risky or volatile way, or not getting married to things, we called swing scalping. What a lot of people do on a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart intraday and scalp a breakout and then fade it the other way. We do that more on a daily chart. And what that equates to sometimes is maybe positioning ourselves for 1, 2, even 3 or 4 days sometimes when you're not right, but there's no harm, there's no foul, there's no reason to get out. And then the move comes, and then we call that moving day. And what we've noticed is that if you can catch a good day of a good solid green candle, more often than not, you're going to have a nice follow-through day. And I have a perfect example. It was a great example for a lot of reasons, okay? I've been helping some newer traders in a Discord group, and they love to play the stories, the news, the PR. Well, they've been hammering this express SPA for so long, and I just quietly said, that's an interesting story, but I'm not really interested because the chart is not really telling me to be interested here at these levels. Maybe back here it was kind of cool. It was holding on to that 50. It had every opportunity, but I've been watching it since, and I just kind of quietly reminded people, the chart needs to confirm the story. Well, here's the story in a nutshell. 30-second elevator pitch. It's a very, very smart story. This guy who was the CEO of Express Spa has 50 airports. Locations where they do nails, massage, chair massage, spa type stuff. Well, obviously that was a bad business model early this year in March when it all hit. So he immediately pivoted his company to turn them into express COVID stations to find out if you want to get a COVID test. And for many reasons, there's a lot of benefits that could handle that. So it just kind of wallowed. The chart wasn't really doing much. And then on Friday, they said, hey, the CEO is going to be on Fox Business. And I thought, well, that might goose it a little bit. So looking at this chart on the daily, I took a position. I actually didn't have to wait long for this position, but this is something I literally could have taken back here. And the point is, waited this day, no harm, no foul, waited this day, and then all of a sudden it comes. And so what I want to talk about is swing scalping. A nice way to manage a really good winner is once you get moving day, and I'm calling this first day here moving day because we had a giant green candle on good volume moving out of our range, well-defined range. So now all of a sudden this chart is interesting. I'm going to click into the trade that I mirrored so you can see there. All right, so I took the position yesterday right here. I knew the story was going to happen on the news, but I wanted to see how it opened, and it didn't really open with a lot of fanfare. Had a little bit of spike in volume here, pulled back to my favorite moving average, and there was the test. It held it, started to move higher, and I said, okay, well, you know what? Let's see if this is going to do anything when this guy comes on the news later today. And all of a sudden, the stock started to go higher and moved higher, and before you know it, nice news story at the end of the day, pushed it near highs, and I said, okay, well, this is moving day. I'm not going to sell any. I'm going to look to take profits tomorrow. Look left, where am I going to take my profits? Well, that declining 50-day moving average, well, I didn't want to take the 200 because it looked like it was trading through there after hours. And right on the open, it blasted right through there. And so I said, that declining 50, I'm going to kick myself if I don't take at least third or half off the table. And so I did. And there's the sell tag, and it's right at the 50, and you can see it blew through and then reversed. But this is a illustration of the point I'm trying to make, that once you get these moves, you're better off just sitting back and letting that first move happen and close at the high of day. But day two is where you need to get ready and sharpen your skills and look for areas of exit in the first hour or two of the day. It's a day and a half move because that's when people start to take profits. And if we look here intraday, I was taking my profits on the way up. If you didn't, your second opportunity was to look at that line, the 10-period moving average held, and then right here, the game was over. for the most part, it never really got back to that level because it closed below the 10-period moving average on my 15 chart. So that is the second moment, or a second example for you guys as to how a great move kind of lasts a day and a half, day number one, and then half a day number two. And this is something that Andy and I just noticed over and over and over. And we even did a webinar where I went and grabbed some visual slides of a guy paddleboarding on his stand-up board and saw the surf, and he positioned himself and rode the wave, did a couple cutbacks, and bailed out the back end and got ready to position for the next wave. And I think that's a great method, because if you don't do that, you start to run the risk of leaving too much on the table and being too greedy. You have to have a reason to not be greedy. And just taking a half profit sometimes after a day and a half, I'm still on the other half, but just taking a half profit sometimes is just a really conservative way to try and maximize your P&L. Since you also coined the term, Andy, do you want to add anything to our discussion on swing scalping?
No, Steve, you covered it really well. Only to say that we still, use this method quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I bailed out, and I think a lot of people who've been in my webinars know that I was buying that urban. And fortunately enough, I got out of half on that first big move there on the daily candle at the top.
Which day?
Yeah, I actually got out half on that one right there.
Yesterday or today?
The biggest green candle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at somewhere near the close, and then luckily I got out to not too far from highs today, around 23.78, I believe. I took my profits, and I told the guys, we trade a little fund over here. I said, you know what, I'm going to be quick to take profits until we get through this election, because today was a great case of what can happen as we get closer to the election. Every little bit of news is just going to be really emphasized, and so anyway, but yes, I use that method all the time. As a matter of fact, I think more people, instead of day trading, should try this swing scalping method, because
it allows you to have a life.
It does. Allows you to have a life. It allows you a little bit of less stress in your trading. Just a lot of things it can do.
Well, as luck would have it, I have a second example of swing scalping here in my account, my mirrored account. And so you can see this was an example of me getting positioned on this day, having to sit this day and kind of this day, but thinking, boy, this thing's ready to go. Yesterday, we had moving day in plug, and I stayed until the bitter end and said, I'm going to take half profits the following day. Well, here was our gap open. I really wanted to see it push higher, but you know what? Once I saw that red, let me zoom in on that red, I said, nope, I'm taking it now. And so I took a little bit of profits on the open. And here's a great example of, okay, you know what? I'm really not kicking myself. Why? Because I didn't sell it all. You just can't go wrong with selling half. You're either going to sell half and be perfect and be glad you did and got off half at the top, or you're like, kind of this tale of two tapes here. XSPA, pretty happy I got that sale off earlier because it might not see there for a few more days. But in the case of plug, okay, I probably could have done better, but guess what? I still have half, so you can't lose when you sell half. You can't lose. All right, Andy, so we have a few minutes here, I think. Actually, I'm going to go through a few of my trades. Yeah, I loaded back up on a few things. So plug and XSPA, we talked about that. I'm in the trade of the week along with you guys here. I bought it on Friday close, actually, and then we decided to make the call on front running. Don't say anything. But it still looks intact, as we talked about. There's no reason to get out of this thing. It looks intact, and that's going to be my play for that one. This thing has just been a bugger. I just want to be in this thing. I don't know why, but I'm back in it. Talked about Children's Place. Been in this for a few days. Was looking really good. I mean, man, it was looking good right there. But then today, but no harm, no foul. It's just back in the washing machine. Fit is an interesting one. I probably got into this one a bit too early, but I just felt like this might be a new COVID winner. I had big earnings. Gave back a little bit more today, but I'm just going to sit. It's a half position, really. It's not a big one, but I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen when the rubber meets the road right here. I have a feeling that Fitbit, when it touches, could be on the opening down drive, like we've been talking about, touches that 10-day moving average and rips higher. I don't know, Andy, was plug one of our recent trades? I think it was FCell, and FCell hasn't worked. If you want a good pairs trade, long plug and short FCell probably. Interesting.
I thought plug was at one point.
Was it? Maybe it was.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back that far recently to look. So I think Fit might be a day or two away from some interesting fireworks here. We'll see what happens when the price meets the line. Rickety Rocket. And this thing was looking pretty darn good yesterday, like it was just going to hang up, and it's even looking better today into the close, but it gave some back. But resting on the 20, still above the 10, no major harm and foul. Yeah, it was a while back, Dave. You're right. Pause. I'm, back in the silver game. Not as many stocks this time, but this is the bellwether, the gold standard, if you will, of the silver plays. Breaching aftermarket this 10 period, but let's see. It held it at the close. Let's see what the overnight silver market does. It keeps me in that. This one might have to go. LODE. It's a small cap silver play, and I'll tell you what. If it can't get above this 50-day moving average, it's going to get cut very early tomorrow. And then I'm back in my favorite play, TGB. I still really like this one. I love how it's not even touching its 50-day. And I've got an alert right here above you see to possibly add to it if it does move higher. But those are my plays. Let's look at a couple of yours, and then we'll bring Scott in here in 3 minutes or so. Which one should we start with? Chewy. I think Bernard had the first one. He was asking about Chewy. Not bad. It was looking really good before today's close, like a lot of our charts are going to look, but it doesn't look bad, Bernard. And let's see if it can hold on tomorrow. With that, if everything in general gets weak tomorrow, then this one might be weak as well. It just depends on what the broader market's going to do. Somebody said rave, what a move, but I don't know. Oh, it's aftermarket move. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a good analogy. It's like an insurance policy on the trade, selling half, says George. Do we have to enter all the AI trades ourselves, or are we not? No, you can enter any trade you want, Amy, if you have your own broker. Sometimes on these pullback alerts, which one of them was today, you might even get a better price than an auto trade. If you're logged into your account and you see the symbol and you just reach over and type in the symbol and calculate your own shares, and you can use that as an entry.
But to answer the question there, if you don't have IB, yes, you're going to have to enter all your trades manually on your broker.
On your own side, yeah. If you have IB, then you can enter your manually in our brokerage plus, but otherwise you're going to have to do your own platform. That was your question. Good. All right, two more, then we'll bring Scott in. First one was for Dave, Vivo. 2 days above its declining 50, got above it, bioscience. I think maybe a couple of sideways action days, and this thing is definitely going to remain in play. Nothing I can say bad about that one. The candles today are all going to look the same because of the way in which we closed, so we can't give that too much. Okay, two more. I'm sorry, yeah, one more. QLGN. Nice looking close today. Another therapeutic stock. So these are these small caps I was talking about, which might have been really goosing the Russell 2000 as of late. So QLGN looks really nice. If you know the story and you're not afraid of holding biotechs overnight or pharmaceuticals, that's nice. Nice recovery on this one after the midday bull crap. So very strong. It's probably the strongest stock you guys showed me here, and it's a nice one. Could be some follow through tomorrow. All right, looks like we're good to go. So I'll bring up Scott and the slideshow, and thank you guys for all your questions, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Steve. A couple items on the way out. We do have that book on earnings. We're about to release another book soon, so grab this one before we start promoting the other one. This one's great for earnings season. It gives you some strategies on how to use earnings seasons to your advantage. Just go to trade-ideas.com/earnings. Grab that free ebook. You can import some cloud links into your layout. Same strategies that are talked about in that book. There's a podcast. We just released a new episode by Sean all about swing trading with the AI. So you can find that by searching for Trade Ideas Podcast. Hit subscribe, download the newest episode, check out some of the previous ones. That newest one is about swing trading with Holly. So a lot of people ask about that. So it should be a good one. Fall Savings is a code that'll save you 15% off your first month or year of any subscription or upgrade. So grab that and use it. You can find Steve at Today Trader on Twitter. And we also have at Trade Ideas, at QuantBot, some other handles. Trade Ideas Pro is our Facebook page, so follow it and share our stuff with your friends. And send any questions to info@trade-ideas.com. That goes into our help desk. Straight to the person that's best qualified to answer your question, so you get a timely reply. So always use that. Or the chat during business hours on our main website. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Andy. Thank you, friends. Have a good one. We'll get the recording up later on tonight or tomorrow.
All right, see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you Thursday.